Hey, do me a favor. Click the subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Thank you. Thank you for watching Cooking with Victoria. Today we are going to make Southern style meatballs and gravy. Alright, to do that you will need ground beef. I'm using 73.27. This was purchased at Walmart. Okay, and this is 2.25 pounds. You will need 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Here, you will need 1 tablespoon of onion salt. You will need 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. You will need 1 tablespoon of thyme. You will need 1/4 cup of chopped onion. You can chop it up real fine yourself. And then you will need the rest of the onion. So I had a large onion. You'll cut the rest of the onion up just in chunks or however you like it, little slivers, because we're going to fry them up later. And then you will also need 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. All right, so let's get started. Also, if you don't have the onion salt, you can use regular salt, but onion salt gives it a great flavor. All right, so what we're going to do now, you also need a skillet that you can cover with the top and cook everything on stove top because it's going to simmer. So what we're going to do now is open up our ground beef, get all of these ingredients mixed in along with our Worcestershire sauce, and we're going to make meatballs. See you in a few. Now that we have all of our seasonings in our meat, I'm going to go ahead and add the 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce into the meat. And excuse me if I mispronounce the word, I never can say it. And then after that, we're going to form our meatballs. And if you have any rings or watches or anything, bracelets on, it would be a good time to take it off before you mix everything up so that you don't get meat or anything inside of your jewelry. So let's go ahead and mix our Worcestershire sauce in, and then we're going to form our meatballs. Alright guys, so now we're going to form our meatballs. So what you do is just take a pinch like so, just like this, and you just use your hands and you just roll them like this, okay? Just roll them. Alright, and that's one with meatball. We're going to do it again. Just take a pinch like so, okay? And you're going to roll it like so, just like that. All right, and there we have 2 meatballs, and you're gonna do this until you get all of your meat into meatball form. Then we'll come back and I'll show you how to put them in the skillet and get them fried up. See you in a few. So here are all our meatballs made. I was able to get about 22 to 24 meatballs out of the 2.25 pounds of meat that I had. Now you can get more if you make them a little bit smaller. So if you need more meatballs, just make them a little bit smaller than what I did. But this is the size of meatballs that my family likes and that I love. I like that bite of meat. So now what we're going to do is get our skillet on the stove. And I prefer that you use a pot or maybe a high-raised skillet, one that you can put some liquid in because you're going to have a gravy that goes with this, and you want to use the same skillet. Now if you can't, then you can start in the skillet and you can always transfer it over to a pot. That's perfectly fine. You do whatever you got to do to make your meal. So I'm going to go ahead and get the temperature on. You don't need to put any oil in your skillet. You just want to cut it on and put it on a medium heat. After it starts to get hot, then we're going to start adding our meatballs. See you in a few. Alright y'all, I got my meatballs on a plate right here sitting on a cool aisle, and my skillet is right here. It's hot, y'all, so we're going to start adding our meatballs right now. Alright, get them all added in. as many as you can. Get that sizzle. All right, so all of our meatballs, they did fit. And y'all got me a face towel right here. I always keep a towel next to me when I'm cooking, so if anything splashes, you know, just to keep it clean, keep your hands clean. But anyhow, all the meatballs did fit. My skillet was big enough. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let these brown. As you start to see them brown, when they get about halfway on one side, then just take you some tongues if you have them. If you don't, you can use a spoon. I don't recommend using a fork because you don't want to poke them open or cause them to break. You don't want to lose any juice that is inside because that's flavor. So take your tongues or your spoon, whatever you got, and just start flipping them and just let them brown. Okay? We're going to let them cook on each side for about, I'd say about 5 minutes per side because we just want them to brown. All right, so I'll see you in 5. And I'm going to set my timer right now. And technically it would probably be 7 minutes because it's been about 2 minutes. So I'm going to set it for 5 right now. All right, so I will see you guys in 5 minutes. All right, that is our time. It's been 5 minutes. So now we're going to take our tongues and we are going to turn them over. Just turn them over just like that. Just take your tongues and turn each meatball over. Okay, just like that. All right. And just take your time. There's no rush about it. Take your time. Alright. Alright, I'm going to get them all done and then I'll come back and we're going to set our timer for 5 minutes after I get them all turned over. Alright, we got them all turned over as you can see. Now we're going to go ahead and set our timer for 5 minutes because by the time we did that it took 2 minutes. So we're going to set it for 5 minutes. We're going to come back and we're going to pull these off and sit them on in a dish and set them aside to finish the rest of our recipe. All right, see you in 5 minutes. All right, so our timer has gone off. Now we're going to go ahead and pull these off and set them aside. Now we've got our meatballs pulled to the side. I'm going to go ahead and reduce my temperature down to medium low. Like it was on medium, so I'm putting it, half of that. And this is how much liquid my meatballs gave me. Now, if yours didn't give you any, it's possibly because you used a what we call a leaner ground beef. The leaner the ground beef, the less juice you get. The more fat you have, you're gonna get some juice off of them, and that's what you want because that's what you're gonna use to make your gravy. So I'm gonna give you 2 alternatives. If you got juice, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead, remember that onion I told you to chop up? You're gonna put your onion in this gravy juice mix, all right? And add your 1 tablespoon of garlic. All right, so here is my onion going in. All right, I added my tablespoon of garlic. Now I'm gonna put that heat we're gonna put it up on a medium high, because what we want this to do, we want our onions to cook into this, and our garlic into our oil, basically our drippings that comes from our ground beef. Okay, now if you don't have much liquid at all, this is what you're gonna do. You leave whatever drippings you have in your skillet, take your onions and your garlic just like I did, and you're gonna go ahead and stir them in and let them cook. We're not gonna cook them down, we're just letting them get a little heat on them. All right, and what we're gonna do is you'll take 2 tablespoons of flour and pour it on your onions and get that mixed up real good. The flour is basically gonna coat your onions. And then after that, you will take 2 cups, you could do 3 cups if you want, 3 cups of beef broth, whatever your favorite beef broth is, and pour it into your onions and flour and garlic mixture, and stir it up real good, and it should make gravy. Now when you pour it in, you don't want it to be thick, so if it's thick, go ahead and add you another cup of broth. Okay, and stir it up. It should be kind of loose like, you want it loose like, and then I'll catch up with you. Now those instructions were for people who didn't have much liquid left after they cooked their meatballs. Now continuing on, for those of us who have liquid, this is good enough on the onions. I'm gonna turn the heat back down to medium low, and the only reason why I'm doing that is because we're gonna add in our flour. So go ahead and grab your 2 tablespoons of flour. All right, so we got 1 tablespoon of flour that's overflowing. So what you do is you just add a little flour at a time. Okay, you can even use your fork and just stir it in. Okay, stir it in to your liquid just like this, and you don't want it to clump up, so stir it in just as soon as you put it in. Okay, just like so. Okay, see how I'm doing? You do the same way. You can use a whisk if you want to. You can use a fork, whatever you got to work with. All right. Now let me get my other tablespoon. Give me just a moment. All right, so what you want to do is add 1 cup of water into your drippings from your meat before you add your flour. So I've added 1 cup of water, and I've already added 1 tablespoon of flour. This is my 2nd tablespoon of flour, and you just stir it in like so. And the reason why you're adding the water is so that the flour has something to cook with, because if you have just oil, then it will crumble basically. All right, you see how that's thickening? That's getting thick just like we want it. All right, now I'm gonna keep letting this cook. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 more cup of water to this, and I'm gonna see how thick it gets. I'm gonna play it by ear. If it's still too thick, I'm gonna add another cup. Now 1 teaspoon of flour may be enough. So if it is, and if it's to your liking, then you'll go ahead and add your meatballs back in. Don't worry about this extra oil you're seeing, that's okay. That comes from the meat. So I'm gonna grab the water. I'll be right back. All right, so we're gonna add 1 more cup of water. It don't matter if it's warm or cold. Mine was cold, that's fine. You can do warm if you like. And I'm gonna go ahead and add another tablespoon of onion salt. Now remember what I said, if you don't have onion salt, feel free to use regular salt. That's perfectly fine. Alright, and we're gonna get this stirred in. Just like so with your fork. Now after you get everything stirred in, remember, you don't want your gravy to be too thick. You want it to be kind of watery, but not really watery. Just kind of like a consistency of a heavy cream almost. And what you're going to do is you're going to add your meatballs back in. And before you add your meatballs back in, you can taste your gravy to make sure it's to your liking. Now, you don't want to be too heavy-handed with adding any extra seasoning, because you have to remember that you're going to have seasoning in your meat, and that's going to add to the flavor that comes from your gravy. So at this point, this is the consistency that I want, because I know that when I put it to simmer, it's going to thicken, and that's perfectly fine. That's what you want it to do. So now we're going to go ahead and leave it on a low heat, and we're going to add in our meatballs. And after we add our meatballs in, we're going to put it on a medium-low heat, and we're going to let it go for about 15 minutes. And that's going to finish cooking your meatballs if they didn't cook all the way through. And that's going to allow the gravy to thicken. Okay, so I'll see you in a few. We're going to add the meatballs in. Alright, so I've added all of the meatballs in to the gravy, and I have a gas stove. I'm going to tell you what temperature I got it on. I have it on number 3 right now, which is like a low heat, and that's actually fine. I'm going to leave it on that because you see how it's bubbling, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it, and we're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. So I'll see you in 15. Okay, so I just set my timer for 15 minutes. I wanted to come back and show you that I did cover my skillet, but I wanted to make a quick note that if your meatballs are not completely covered in the gravy, don't worry about that. Just come back about midway through your time, and just you can either turn the meatballs, or you could just take your spoon and you can just put some gravy over them because you want them to be submerged. Alright, so I'll see you in a few. It smells very good. I know your family is going crazy right now. Alright, that is our timer going off. I'm going to get a mitten so I can open this up and show you guys what it's looking like. Alright, here we are. The big reveal. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the heat off. Let me get my spatula real quick, and I'm going to stir it up. Alright, so here's my spatula, and stirring it up. And this is perfect consistency for me. If you want your gravy thicker, you can definitely add more flour. You can still add flour even at this point, but this is perfect. This is perfect. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to let this sit and rest for 15 minutes with no heat, and I'm gonna finish making the rest of my dishes. I'm gonna make mashed potatoes, creamy mashed potatoes, which won't take long at all. I've already got them boiled, and I'm going to make some green beans, steamed green beans. So we'll see you in about 15 minutes. And this actually will thicken some more while it's sitting. But again, it may not thicken up enough if you like a thick gravy. So please, by all means, add more flour. It's perfectly fine. Okay? All right, see you in a little bit. I want to come back and show you guys. I added another tablespoon of flour into this, and the gravy, it did get thicker. I just wanted to show you guys so you'll see how much thicker it'll get. It's thicker, and I just wanted to show you that as my viewer, so you'll know, if your gravy never is thick enough, you can always add. Okay, you just add a little bit at a time and mix it in, let it cook a little, and you'll see the consistency. So we're gonna let this rest for 15 minutes, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna eat. All right, so here it is, y'all. Here are my southern meatballs and gravy with creamy mashed potatoes with green onions on top. We have green beans and we have cornbread. I'm gonna pay homage to my father in this video. This was his recipe. He has gone on to glory, and I continue making it for my family. It was one of my very favorites growing up, and I hope that it becomes one of your family favorites. So we're gonna say grace, and let me give you the 360 view. So here we are. Green beans, yum. They were steamed. Cornbread, country cornbread. I'll do a video on that, on how to make homemade cornbread. Mashed potatoes, gravy, and my southern country style meatballs. Doesn't that look good, y'all? Yes, indeed. All right, Father, Lord God, thank you so much for blessing all of us YouTubers to be able to come together and fellowship and share our gifts. I ask that you would continue to bless each one of us to prosper and to do well on our channels, Lord, to reach others and to inspire others. I ask that you would continue to bless us through the COVID-19 pandemic, and that you continue to bless us with peace, love, joy, grace, happiness, with continuous perfect health. Until next time, you guys, I'm going to say amen, and we are going to eat. So let's dive in. I'm gonna take my fork, and we're gonna cut open one of these meatballs. I'm gonna pull it off the potatoes so we can cut it open. Okay, see the inside. Okay, see that it's done. It's not raw in any way. And I am going to offer the first bite to you as always. Yummy. It looks so good that while you're eating it, oh my gosh. You said it's good. I know it smells so good in here. Oh my gosh. Can I have a bite? Oh, I can. All right, it's my turn. Here we go. It is so good. You can taste notes of thyme and garlic and onion. The gravy. Get some mashed potatoes. You guys were right. This is delicious. My goodness. Okay. Potatoes are so creamy. I have a video for that. You can check out the video on my potatoes as well. All right. Well, I love you guys. God bless. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and hit the little bell for notifications, and select all after you hit the bell so you get notified when I post a video. Peace. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thanks for watching Cooking with Victoria. Tell all your friends. I know you're going to love it. Peace.